welcome to the Meadow podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting.
It's surreal, honestly, having you sitting here so we can talk about. I was just thinking all things medicine, really. Like, what does medicine even really mean? That word, and healing, and specifically healing with earth-based medicines, with earth psychedelics. And so, for those who are not familiar with you and your work, can you share a little bit about who you are and what you do in the world?
Yes. That is a great question to ask who I am. Being of light, trying to really do my best upon this earth and bring as much conscious to myself and then inspire others to do the same. My name is Tatiana. I am Tupinamba, and I've been working with ayahuasca for the past 14 years of my life. First of healing my own wounds and healing my own self and expanding my conscious, and through that inspiring and giving examples for other people to do the same as well. I have been trained in the Ashaninka lineage for this long, but I was born as a Tupinamba. My mother is indigenous from the jungle in Brazil. I was born and grew up in the jungle for 10 years of my life before I start going to the city to go to school and then learning that part of my life. That got really intense for me at some point. Got into deep depression because the distance and the separation, I feel like the separation from nature caused a lot of stress in my life, and seeing how human beings are so discredited and separate from their essence, living in the fast pace in the city. So it brought me great experiences in my life that at some point I decided that I didn't decide, all the forces that was happening culminating to me going back to the jungle so I can relearn the ways of the jungle and the ways of nature. Yes.
There's so many golden threads we can pull on in there. So you serve ayahuasca.
Yes.
And for people who are not familiar with ayahuasca, can you share what it is?
Ayahuasca is a psychotropic that is natural for the Amazon jungle. It's two plants. One plant is a vine that grows really tall, but it needs support from other plants as a vine. And by itself, it doesn't do much of a psychedelic effect if you take it. In the jungle, we do many process protocol, like we call diets. And the diet is basically you are intaking non-psychotropic plants so you can learn from the plant itself. So the lessons will come in visions, in your dreams, will come through your intuition, many ways like that. The advanced way to do diet is in the jungle when you are by yourself, isolated, that you can only have the jungle to listen to and learn from. So there is the vine. The vine is called camarampi in the language of the Ashaninka. The capi vine. And then there is the chacruna. Chacruna is more abundant in the Amazon and in Brazil and many other countries also. And we can find it in abundance more than we can find the vine, for example. Now we have to look more further and further inside of the jungle to find the vine. And the chacruna is growing in a bush. It's like a bush, a really big one. And we take just the leaves. We never wanted to really kill the plant to take the leaves, not the vine either. So it's like we can maintain the plant growing, and only together they will be psychedelic. And in the elder ones in the jungle, they tell many stories depending on the culture that you are in the Amazon. You know, Amazon have many countries that has part of the Amazon of the jungle of the Amazon, and so many depending on the culture or the side of the Amazon that you are, they have a story about it. Some of them say that some of their ancestors passed away. And when the ancestor passed away, the ones that were still alive miss them so much that they start dreaming about their spirit. And when they dream about their spirit will come and tell them about the medicine plants that were around them. And I find so interesting because when we do drink medicine to do the diets, the process of the diets, we do have a very much vivid dreams that inform and educate us about the medicine that is the Amazon jungle, the medicine that is in the waters and things like that. So in some traditions, they say that the ancestor will come to the dreams and tell them, this is the vine that you can use and mix with this leaf, and then you can have an effect in your brain that you can come visit us. You can come visit us on the other side. Some others say that when their ancestor died, the plants start growing from their tomb, basically, and they will start dreaming that those plants was special, and they will understand that they have to drink them, make them into a concoction and drink them so they can actually learn about the process, how is the process of leaving the body and going to the other side. It's really beautiful.
That's so beautiful, the stories. And I've heard other stories that there's the plants themselves communicating
Yes,
to,
yes, yes.
because there are, like, the Amazon rainforest is the most biodiverse place on planet Earth, but I think
Yes.
by orders of magnitude. And so it really is miraculous that, humans found a way to combine these two
Yes.
plants to
Yes.
then become ayahuasca, and then go on these incredible visionary journeys with the medicine. Um, uh, let's see, where do I want to go with next here? I wanted to know a little bit more about, you talk about how you were raised in Brazil and you were initially in the jungle for the first 10 years of your life, and then sort of moved into city life, the civilization,
Yes.
and being separated from nature
Yes.
and those the slower ways of being. Can you share a little bit more about your path still, though, between childhood and adolescence and early adulthood before you found your way back to the medicine of your lineage?
Yeah. Once I was separated from the jungle, separate actually from my mother, and the family of my father brought us to the city with the intention for us to go to school. I have a sister, a younger sister as well, and that was very traumatic to me because you can imagine a child growing 10 years old in the jungle free. We will go climbing trees, we will go fish in the rivers, we will like really raw in contact with nature and go and not wearing shoes. That was like really a big one for me. And then there was no chairs or things like that. We were like really raw in nature, and that made me feel so free and never imagined it, like the life and the construct of living in the city. So going to the city in that way, it was very sad for me as a child because I was no longer free. Now I have to live inside a box and I have to go from one box to the other. There was no tree to climb. I had to wear shoes that bother me so much that I have to wear shoes everywhere. And I have to behave in such a way. Like going to school was very traumatically. The children didn't understand why we were so weird.
Oh, and children can be brutal.
And that made me sad. I will dream that one day, soon enough, I will go back to the trees. Soon enough, I will go back to watch the animals and watch the rivers and things like that. But we will never, maybe the adults will say that we will go visit because we will feel sad and cry that we wanted to go back. And the adults around will say, like, one day we're going to go back, like, to just calm us down. But that they never came. So then from childhood growing to adolescent, I start becoming very rigid in my mind, like almost like mad in a way, especially seeing how adults or like the city living was so hard, and seeing how people they didn't understand what freedom was. I never knew like why they don't know like they can be free. They don't need to wear shoes everywhere. They don't need to behave in these ways. And I will have dreams about that. I will fantasize in my own head and have also like sleeping and having dreams that I was in the jungle, but that they never came. And I continue to grow older and older. And I remember like when I was about 14 years old, I actually left the home because there was a lot of trauma happening in the house. And I have made a decision for myself that young that I will by myself find my own way. out there.
Mm.
And I feel it was when the time came when depression started to hit myself. But I
When you
didn't,
were about 14.
yeah, but I didn't know, like going to the city, there was already a hint of that, because I was not happy. There was no happiness and feeling joy in going, participating in the school. There was the house have a lot of, the household had a lot of trauma. The humans, the adults, was like traumatized themselves, and I felt like they wanted to raise these children to become like them. And very early in my life as a child, I decided inside of myself that I will not be one of them. I don't know what will happen to me, but that was an early decision that I made for myself, that I will not become rigid like that. So with 14 years old, I left the home, and I felt like I rather live on the streets, find my own way to get back to where I belong, than become one of these rigid people that I will see around me. And the hole got deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yes. When you fall further, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. When would you say that you hit your own rock bottom?
Yes. As a young adult, like I was leaving the house of my parents, grandparents actually. I was 14 years old. So like on the streets, as I found like teachers that will have me for some time. I will find friends that will help me for some times, but was not without trauma. There was trauma everywhere that I looked. I felt very sad to see the people don't know what is freedom, and the people don't know what is it to be happy. They actually chose this format of life, and that became normal. Everybody felt like this was the way of life, to live in a city. And when I was at a young adult, about 19 years old, I was a very sad person, and I was already addicted to drugs. You can imagine like the influences in the streets and the people, and all that they had to like find a way to have fun, was to drink alcohol, was to like do some like things like cocaine, for example, to find some joy and having fun at the time. And I felt like, oh, this is not so bad, because at least when I am doing that with them, when I am drugging myself, I'm not feeling that deep sadness. I'm not feeling that deeper separation from my heart, from my essence. So that was when I noticed that the depression actually started hitting the core, and almost feeling like this is normal. Everybody, this is the life.
This is what human life's about.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. We can be sad. We don't need to go and be free anymore, because we have these things that can numb our sadness, and this is how life it is.
I went through something very similar. Yeah. And when you're a young adult, yeah, you're still trying to figure out, what is this life? What is it about?
Absolutely. I actually didn't want it to be alive so much. And when I was actually having fun and doing the drugs, it was acceptable, and it is the
Part of the culture.
Exactly. It's the
Yeah.
numbing feeling, and feeling like, oh, okay, I'm not gonna live so long. We actually had many conversations like young adults with my friends that who wanna live longer, who doesn't wanna live longer. And I always felt like I'm not going to live longer, because this is not something that I see myself as an adult, like 30 years, 40 years, or even longer. I didn't saw myself. I felt like very soon I'm going to be living this life. And that was like acceptable for me, because it was not acceptable to have a long life living in that state. When I was 19 years old, I also find my first partner. And when I found my first partner, was the first time that I had like a glimpse of loving and caring for someone in my entire life. And that actually gave me a little bit of hope that maybe falling in love and loving someone and having someone that loving me back will like giving me a few more years. But we were still doing drugs. We were still in numbness state. So from there, we come together, and I dream that we will be together forever. We will be together forever, almost like a fairy tale of sort, but it didn't last so long. when I separate from that partnership, it was when I actually gave off myself to the depression. And then I gave off myself also to the drugs and that behavior that was destructive to the core, to my being. But it was also a decision that I don't want to live much longer. I actually
Mm.
wanted to find situations and experience in my life that will take me closer to death itself.
Mm.
It was actually a decision that I made because life for me at that point was not worth living.
Mhm.
I didn't want it to be upon earth this much longer.
Mhm. So then, I think it was a friend of yours that introduced you to ayahuasca.
Yes,
Yeah. What did
yes.
she say to you?
That was a really great moment of my life. I was after the separation. I went to New York. I came from like a small city at the time. I was living in the island, small in Brazil, and separated because it was so small. Everybody knew us. I didn't want to be there any longer. A friend told me, "Go to New York. And New York is so busy. You're not gonna be having time to be sad. You're gonna have so much things going on around you." And I took that advice and I ended up going to New York, and I was studying English at the time in New York. But New York, it was like the express course to like a depression deeper to hitting the bottom. It was right there when it happened, hitting the
Mm.
bottom. And then I kind of like could not really attend the school so much. I just wanted to be in the parties. I was drinking every single day. I was like drunk every single day. I was doing some type of a drug. So I could not be present to the sadness that I was feeling. It was numb all the time. I remember a time that I was like drinking for like 3 months without leaving the house. I was
Oh.
living in a studio by myself in Manhattan, and I just decided I'm not going to do it anymore. Like life, I'm not going to do life anymore.
Mm.
I'm just gonna give in to the addiction. I'm gonna give it in to death itself, you know.
Mhm.
And 3 months drinking, there was a friend, Brazilian friend that studied with me in the school, and she knew my situation. And she went to a vacation in Brazil at the time. She was adopted by an American family, and she had some sadness and some traumas of her own. And she went to Brazil for a vacation of like 2 weeks. And when she came back, I didn't know anything that she would do there. She was thinking that she was gonna go to the beach, like have fun
Mhm.
in the summer and things like that. And then when she came back, she brought this bottle of a tea or something brown, and then she say, "I know that you want to die so much, but I went through this experience." She shared some of her experience, and it was really profound. I could not believe that she drank something that made her have the experience that she shared with me. And she say, "I know you wanted to die so much, but drink this tea first, and then maybe you're going to learn something." And we did
Mm.
it. We did it in my little studio. She had served the message to me. She went to Brazil. When she went to Brazil and partake of this ceremony, it was like a church type of scenario. She said that she talked to the people, that she had this friend that is suffering so much and wanted to die. And they gave her the medicine, and she brought it, and she did the ceremony for me and told me, "This is how they do, and they do this." And then we made like a ceremony, more like a meditation type of thing in the
Mm.
living room, in the floor.
Mhm.
And she gave me like a really good cup of full of medicine. And I drink, and then after 1 hour, I was not feeling anything. And I told
Mm.
her, "I'm not feeling anything. Are you sure this work?" And she said, "Yes, yes. Like you have to wait." And then I think maybe I have to drink more. She gave me a second one. I
Mm.
didn't feel anything after an hour. And then she said, "That's weird because they don't drink that much when I was there." I said, "Maybe you give me another one." And then when she gave me the third one, then I started having the experience. And it was unbelievable. I
Mm.
cannot put it to word to this day because the medicine, when it started taking effect, it took me directly to my infancy when I was in the jungle, running free and in contact with nature. And the feeling in my heart that I was a free being walking and having fun and enjoy the life that I had as a child. And I have forgot that. I have
Mm.
forgot the joy there is to be human upon this earth, and to have my heart so open and in connection with nature. And then I knew from that point on that I was living a life that was not my own. I was living a life of idea of life that I wanted for myself, but it was not the life that I wanted to live, and it was not a life of my own. And I wanted to go back to who I was as I was a child in the jungle.
And you did done that, I would say. Wow. Wow.
Yes.
So you have that first experience with your friend outside of a traditional ceremonial
Yes,
setting,
yes.
but your first time taking a psychedelic
It was my
is
first time.
different. Okay.
Mhm.
And then, and that, yeah, you met your inner child
Yes,
again,
yes,
just so
yes.
healing in and of itself. So then at what point did you realize, oh, I'm called to serve this medicine?
It took many years until that happened. As I had the first experience, also remember the face of my mother. I didn't have the memory of my mother, and I feel like it's so important that we are connected to the love of our mother. Doesn't matter if our mother, sometimes we don't have our mother in our life. Sometimes our mother have already passed away. But the importance of that connection with the love of our mother, because we came from a really powerful portal, and our mother, being there or not, she was an instrument to give us life. And when we lose that connection, it's like losing the connection to the very earth, to the very nature that is all around us. And if we don't have like a thread that bring us back to that, like the mother being that thread, having a special place inside of us that remind us where we come from. We came from a person, we came through a person, and that person, wanted or not, was an instrument of the divine that brought life upon this earth, like through our very bodies. So the medicine brought like the face of my mother, and she was like nurturing me, and I knew that I have forgot that the love of my mother. And through that memory, it was like the love of nature was all that, the waters that flow, that give us life, the nature that is there is always like holding us and giving us life. And I decided right then on that first experience that I need to go back to nature, and I wanted to go back to the jungle specifically, because it was there when I felt most free. It was there when I was truly myself, truly the essence that I was. I was at the time in New York, super vain, going to parties and all of that, and it was the further away from my essence. And then I decided in 3 months time, I was already have my ticket to go to the jungle.
Wow.
Uh-huh. It took me some time, over a year, to find like a teacher that I could like
Mm.
actually that I felt comfortable learning from. It was
Mm.
a great process, because it's not everybody that is there serving medicine that they are genuine,
Mhm.
teachers.
Mm.
So I have to go through many people that was not genuine teachers, and I had to learn that lesson as well. And then also finding a place in the jungle, because my place of birth, I didn't know anything about that place, and my place of birth also was not a place there where they were practicing ayahuasca per se,
Mm.
So then I decided to go to Peru, because I also realized and learned that in Brazil there is a lot of church. There is like a church that serve medicine, and I had a lot of trauma growing up in my family with church. So I was like a
Mm.
version of church. I
Yeah,
don't want anything to do
yeah.
with church.
Something not with the church.
Yes. And then I learned that in Peru, it was like more traditional way to sit with the
Mm.
medicine. So I decided to go there round. So then I went to the mountains first, to the ended mountains first, and I sat with people in the mountains. And then I went to the jungle, to the basin, the lower jungle in Peru. And then I found some people that was not so good, not so honest. And then I
Mm.
went through those experiences, and then finally found my teacher that I had to this day. Now he actually recently passed away,
Mm.
and when I met him for the first time, without not even a word, the only thing that he asked me was, "Are you ready to go to the jungle?" And I felt so keen with him that I was
Mm.
actually ready to go with him. I had a friend with me at the time, and I was not by myself. What had happened? Help, helped.
Oh, would have
Yes,
helped.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
it helped to have someone with me. So
Mhm.
we went together to his village, and from that day on, I knew that I have arrived home. But it took
Mm.
me a few years of drinking medicine and doing the diets and isolating and healing the wounds that I carried with me to that point.
Yes, yes, that's I talk about this a lot with anybody who feels called to serve medicine, whatever capacity, that there's that period of healing yourself
Yes,
for many
yes,
years. Like
yes,
for me, it was many years before I ever felt comfortable serving
yes.
medicine to somebody else.
Mhm.
Can you share about the process of training to become an ayahuasca shaman? What that entails? It's pretty rigorous.
It is. Absolutely. In the beginning, I did not, there was not even close to my wildest dream that I would be serving medicine. I was there. I thought I would be there for the rest of my life at first. I found my home. This is what I'm going to be for the rest of my life. I don't want to go back to the city and living anymore. I just wanted to be here, maybe just helping him, my teacher.
Mm.
He received many people that were sick, that was traumatized like myself, and he would serve medicine. They would stay for a week, maybe a month, and then they go back. And then it was like a rotation of people coming through. And I felt so in my place. Like I'm drinking medicine, I'm healing myself, I'm helping also being in service. So I will do that for some time. And the first time that I got to there, actually very significant for me, when we arrived, he said, come back the next day in the morning, early in the morning, so you can start your process. You can start your diet with the plant. And I was so excited. Like I felt it was like being in heaven for the first time,
Mm.
because in this place it has a boiling river. So it's like it's something from the other world. I
Mm.
felt like I was in Avalon or something. So
Mhm.
in the morning, the next morning, I went to his little house, and he gave like a liter of medicine. It's a tree, actually, one of his favorite, and the tree it heals bones and the body structure. So
Mm.
he say, here's your medicine. Go to the further little casita. The casitas doesn't have walls. It's just like a platform with a leaf roof
Mhm.
on it, and then you have a hammock and like a barely like a mattress, like very thin mattress, it's like sleeping in wood basically, you
Mhm.
know. And that is your little casita, and you're supposed to be there sometimes for 15 days by yourself, sometimes for 20, sometimes for 30, sometimes for longer. I there for me at the moment, at that point, I felt like this is my house forever. I don't need anything else. I barely had any clothes or anything, but I
Mm.
was so happy to be there,
Mhm.
and the way that I was feeling and healing what I need,
Mhm.
what I brought there with me, it was
Mhm.
everything that I needed. So the first night that I was in this little casita in the jungle was the most terrified night of my entire life. To that point, I start hearing so much of the jungle. The jungle come alive. It's so loud at nighttime, so super loud and pitch black.
Yeah, you have no
Pitch black,
light
you know,
or
nothing,
yeah.
absolutely nothing. If you put the flashlight or a candle on,
It
all the insects comes, and
Mhm.
then they make you more terrified.
Don't do that.
And I will literally shake it for the whole night. I couldn't sleep
Oh my
the first
gosh.
night. I
Wow.
was seated in the platform in the floor, not even going pee. I could not even go pee because you have to leave the platform to go pee
Mm.
on the floor
Mhm.
of the jungle. And I remember I was just shaking and then counting the minutes so this night can pass, so I can actually go away from this jungle. I don't want to be here
Mm.
anymore. I thought this would be much different than this is now. And the other thing also that happened, I start hearing some voices or presence around me that
Mm.
I didn't understand at the time. Nobody told me that the jungle come alive and the jungle actually have a great spirit that is supporting you, the essence of the plants and the rivers. They all have in a way a persona or something that can
Mhm.
communicate with our consciousness. So I started hearing a lot of that in the first night, and I didn't understand. And all my nightmares and all the bad thoughts that comes, like, what is this? And coming from a background of a church, that made me
Mm.
feel very afraid, very
Mm.
frightened. In fact, and I couldn't wait to the morning to come because I wanted to go back to him and say, "This is not for me. I needed to go
Mhm.
back to the city. I need to go back to what I know. I know."
What felt familiar
Familiar,
and safe,
exactly.
yeah.
Even if it was terrible, sad,
Mhm.
depressed, the things that I was going through, it was felt a little bit more safe because I knew that more than I knew the mysteries of the jungle and the darkness and all of that. So I literally shake for the whole night, and in the morning was like almost like 5 a.m. when I start seeing the light of the day and I could see the path. I literally run from my little
Mm.
casita back to the village and to his door, and I was like knocking and asking him, please call anyone to bring me out from here. I'm not gonna to stay. And I'm crying like a child,
Mm.
sobbing, asking him that I don't want to stay there because this is not for me. He didn't say a word. He wait until I stopped crying and I calmed myself. And he told me very serious, almost like a father like energy. That's how I felt. He felt for me. And he told me, you came here to complete a 15 days process. You can go home when you are done.
That is fatherly
Fatherly.
love.
Yes. And the way that he say so calm and so directed, and I literally
Mm.
felt like it was my father telling me, you're not going anywhere until you finish your work. And he calmed me down. He told me there is no evil spirit in the jungle that you can be so
Mm.
frightened. Just
Mhm.
go there and discover for yourself. But also he didn't tell me anything like, oh, everything's good, like nothing
Mm.
of that. He's just like very directly. And then I calmed myself down. It was daytime. I went back to my casita and I spent the 15 days in the casita every single day the same. Like it got even more intense because I will feel like presence walk around me. I will feel presence like touching my body. I will feel like the vivid dreams and the outside body experiences start
Mm.
happening, and I couldn't understand. I will just feel desperate and feel like 15 days is gonna end, and then it's gonna end. It's gonna end. It's gonna come to an end, and then I will be done with this process. And I stay. But when the 15 days came to the end, I wanted nothing more but to stay longer. Because I was curious. And in the in many traditions in the jungle, they will teach you a few words, right? Like there's nothing written, but they will only give you the teachings when you are ready. We're not going to
Mm.
talk about anything before we are ready. Like leaving a space for you to learn by yourself. There
Mhm.
is a lot of fear that I brought with myself to the jungle. There was a lot of pain that I brought with me into the jungle. And today I understand that those aspects was actually the aspect that was hunting me in those nights, in those dark nights.
Mm. It was your
So
own shadow
yes,
or your
exactly,
own.
exactly. The ideas that I had about the world, the ideas that I had about myself, the
Mhm.
sadness and the depression that I have carried inside of me for such many years of my
Mm.
life, the not understand, the lack of wisdom, the ignorance, deep ignorance that I have learned from what I came from all that I have lived. So that was very present on those 15 days. But when it came to the end, I felt a sense of alleviation. And I
Mm.
felt like there is more for me to learn here. And there is more
Mm.
fear to be felt, and there is more courage to be found as well. So I decided that this is going to be my life.
Wow, what an initiation. My gosh. So, can you share a little bit more about the concept of a dieta?
Yes.
Like what that means and yeah, what is a dieta? What's the purpose of
Yes.
it?
Dieta basically is you cleaning your system.
Mhm.
The plant is going to support you to clean your whole system. No, the physical body is one aspect that we're going to detox. The mind, the aspect of the mind, all the things that we keep inside of our mind, the beliefs that we have inside of ourselves. All of that, the diet is going to help us to go back into pure essence, because human being, I truly believe, is pure and innocent. And then we go out into the world and then we pick up so much things that is not us, and we start believing that it is us, and then we start suffering from that. So then the dieta, we drink plants to support it too, because plant is magic. All this the plants upon this earth is magic. We also believe that there is plants upon this earth, especially in the jungle, that heals any disease from the past, from the moment, present moment, and even from the disease that will come in the future. So there is so many plants that we can learn from, but it is supporting open doors and portal inside of our system just to do that, so we can discover who we truly are. So then the going away and being in isolation is very important, because you have to uh, just refer yourself from everything that you know. How are you
Mm.
going to do that? Nature itself is just being in contemplation in nature, watching the nature, watching the jungle, watching the insects, watching the animals, watching the waters. All of that is cleaning. It's cleaning and cleaning and cleaning all the system. The way that we hear is clean, is the nature clean. The way that we see, the way that we smell, even the way that we choose the words that come out of our mouth. So dieta is very important for that. Bring us back to the pure essence that we once had. Like as a child, we can remember how free, how innocent, how everything was so beautiful. Everything was like, wow. I feel like the dieta bring us back to that. So I spent a few years doing that for myself in the state, and the thing that was super curious for me was like how the songs come about, because in the
Mm.
practice of ayahuasca we use prayers, right? And how is that they learn these prayers? And the prayers are so beautiful. When we are in ceremony, the song itself is talking to us like in the cells, it's talking to the bones, it's talking to like the DNA, it's talking like in so many deeper levels of ourselves. And when I experienced my teacher singing, it was like a rocket science. How come he
This,
can do that?
yes, it is the level of intelligence
Uh-huh,
that it takes
uh-huh.
to power a rocket.
And
Yeah.
I was so curious, and I wanted to know more about
Mhm.
how that comes to be. And they will tell me like the spirit will teach you. And I couldn't believe the spirit. How is the spirit going to teach you? How are you going to hear music? How is the spirit going to teach you music in that way that is so deep? But truly, when you start drinking the plants, you start actually having visions with melody. You start having dreams about the songs, and
Mm.
the songs are alive. And I learned after dieting for so long in the jungle that every single thing upon this earth does have a melody. The things that they are alive from the earth, they have a melody, and you can tap into those melodies. And if you are open enough, back to your essence enough, if your senses are clean enough, you're
Mm.
going to be able to hear those melodies. So I started hearing the melodies of the rivers when I was drinking the plants from the waters. I will start hearing the melodies from like the mother trees, because in the Amazon we have big mother trees. So drinking those mother trees, we take barks from them, then we make a
Mm.
concoction tea, and we drink it. I will start hearing in my dreams, in my visions, also in ayahuasca. I will also hear the melody that those plants had, and
Mm.
literally spirits start singing to you.
Wow. It is so magical and otherworldly, and so the dieta is just a period of purification. It's really
Yes,
sensitizing
yes,
yourself to
yes,
these other there's we're always being bombarded with information,
yes,
but
yes,
when you live in the city, you can only focus on a certain bandwidth of information at a time. So you're just almost like you're deaf and blind to
yes,
all of it
yes,
that is always
yes,
there. But then
yes.
when you go through this dieta process in the jungle, then you sensitize yourself. And in the ayahuasca ceremony, can you share more about, because ceremony is uh, there's the medicine, but the ceremony and the way that the shamans, for lack of a better, ayahuasqueros, yeah,
Yes,
or
yes,
ayahuasquera,
yes. Uh-huh.
sing the Icaros. Can you share about the Icaros and the
Mhm,
music and
mhm.
the ritual?
Yes. This ceremony setting have been done for eons. As long as the people in the jungle remember, they will be seated, one person by themselves, two person, no, a company, or the whole village.
Mm.
Now you see like little children's, elder people, everybody sit in the maloca in a ceremony space, or if there is no space, it's just like the we call it the hero, it's like it's just under the sky, and the people gather there around the fire, and they will drink medicine and they will sing their songs. Today there is instruments, but before there was no instrument. Like the traditional ways, it was the fire, the medicine, and the people right? And we use the leaves, and we use the things like as the drums and things like that to accompany the songs, but mainly to sit together and to pray together. There is such a power in that for community. And to sit before sitting with medicine is sitting to share your dreams, because your dreams tells a lot of message that we can make it better, the life that we are living in the day, in the present moment. So like the children will share their dreams, the elders will share their dreams, and the ones in there is like taking care of everybody, right? They will say like, oh, this dream means this, so we have to do this. Like for example, if someone dream about like the river that is going down, the water that is going away, we have to pay attention how we treat the river. If we dream about the state of the jungle, we have to walk differently when we walk in the jungle. There is a lot of advices, I feel, almost like from the spirit world that is informing human beings through their dreams. So then they will originally sit like that, and the ceremony is not different than that, because when we drink medicine, we access the deeper parts of ourselves, and there is a lot of message that comes through. I find so beautiful this practice of doing ceremony together, not only in the jungle, but any way that we can do ceremony as a community that can bring people together and then feel like the sense of belonging to each other, belonging to the earth, and then respecting one another, respecting the elements that give us life. So then we will do ceremonies. At the time when I was learning, every 2 nights I was sitting ceremony with the village. So because it's a learning practice, it's a practice itself that we have to continue do until it's like known by heart what we are doing together. So then we will sit in the community itself, more to receive those information from nature, from spirit, how we can live better among each other, so we can respect one another as human beings, and also living among the extended family, that is the animals, the plants, and how we can walk properly upon the jungle, right? How we can be well guided, how to find food, how to find the hunt for the day, things like that. And respect, because the waters of the rivers tells us a lot of things. The jungle itself, the plants are always informing if we are aware. So then this practice of become more aware as we sit in ceremony, we become more aware, and we embody that conscious of awareness as we are walking, being human being in the jungle or upon the earth. Yes.
What would you say is the most misunderstood thing about ayahuasca by Americans?
That ayahuasca is going to resolve all your problems.
Yes, yes. So what would you say, what does ayahuasca do for someone who thinks, how would you reframe it for somebody who thinks like, oh, I want this to solve all of my problems.
Yes.
So it would be a better
I
way.
feel ayahuasca and all the medicine, all the psychedelics, they will open doors inside of ourselves so we can become more conscious, aware of what is it to belong to this physical body, to embody fully this body that we have, and the same way to embody the earth, right? To embody the life-giving forces that we can actually share among each other. The consciousness is already sitting inside of us, but we are so distant from it. Like love is already a seed that is in our hearts since birth or even before. But we walk so far away from that, from the fast pace and the practical ways that we live our life outside the jungle in the city, and we accept that to be normal, but we are not aware, conscious, aware of what is inside. So then medicine as in general, I feel, is just open space and open doors inside of ourselves so we can become aware, self-aware, and also collective aware of what we are doing upon this earth and what we are doing to ourselves, what we are doing of our life. Yes.
What do you think we are doing here as humans on this planet?
Being miracles. Being miracles in flesh and bone. It's such a great opportunity for us to understand that we are miracle upon this earth. And when we forget that, we start becoming almost like a illness to ourselves, to our lives, and to each other, creating so much suffer and destruction upon this earth because we forgot that we are actually miracle, glimpse of a miracle. Each single human being walk upon this earth, single miracles, and we can be that. We can be the essence of the divine for ourselves, to each other, to our family, to our collective communities, but we forgot. And that is ultimately what I would say, we forgot so much that we have to go back to the ancient practice so we can remember again the purpose to be a human being upon this earth.
The there's been some concerns that I've seen around, ayahuasca, people becoming like tourists, and they come, all these Westerners come to the jungle to drink the medicine, and the medicine may be becoming endangered. How would you help guide people when looking to access this medicine in a responsible and sustainable way?
I feel not disrespect or disregarding nobody's practice, but it's very important that we learn, that we study, look for original ways of practice with the medicine, right? Like in the jungle, for example. For I had this direct connection to the jungle as I grew up in the jungle some part of my life, and having an indigenous mother. So there is that, and that is good. But if I didn't have that, I will probably look for ways that I could go somehow to original elders of medicine to drink the medicine with, because it's not just like the indigenous, but it's like the jungle itself. The way that is held it, ayahuasca is held in the jungle, is very different the way that people decided to bring the medicine out and held the medicine. For me, it was a miracle that my friend went to a church and brought medicine, and I needed that so much. But then I realized that I need to go to the source. I needed to go to the source because it's not just ayahuasca, it's the whole context of the jungle that is holding you and bring memories back. And every human being is part of this natural world. So then instead of separating or taking out of context the medicine, I see a lot of that today, that people try to take the medicine out of its context, and then have their own idea of how the medicine should be served. So then, yes, finding a way that you can educate yourself and expose yourself into that as much as possible.
So finding responsible keepers of the medicine that are devoted to the traditional ways.
Yes.
How so you were drawn to the Ashaninka lineage. Can you share how that lineage is maybe different from maybe other more well-known lineages such as Shipibo?
Yes. The Shipibo is the biggest one in Peru. But the Shipibo, I feel they are like a little bit messy, all over the place. They do everything. If you ask every single Shipibo, like, do you know a curandero? Yes, I am a curandero. Like, the uncle is curandero. Curandero is the most used word for shaman in the jungle. So if you ask any Shipibo in Peru, or they are curandero, or their parents are curandero, someone in the family is curandero. So it felt a little bit too broad. And in the Ashaninka, they are a little bit more serious, who can hold the space for ceremony. They have to truly go, not that the Shipibo doesn't do that, but I felt more akin with them also because they are not so open. They are more reserved in a way, and I like their way of the practice. They are not so open to whoever wanted to come here and be a curandero.
Bring your cousin. So it's a bit more so a bit more restrained in
yes.
and
I like that it's more difficult to become curandero as a Shanika. I felt okay. I like that.
You like the challenge of it.
Yes.
So would you say ayahuasca plays a complementary role with the other psychedelics in one's healing journey? I work with a lot of people who are brand new to working with psychedelics for healing. How would you help guide people who are newer to the medicine? When is the right time to potentially sit with the medicine?
I feel like we hear the call, especially like for me, when I had suffered enough I knew that was the right moment for me to go into that direction, into psychedelic. But I feel like in general for people, whatever is actually more accessible, right? Like not everybody can get to the jungle, but you can find a very serious practice of practitioners of medicine, and they are serious on what they are doing, and it is accessible to you. Also, the calling, how the call comes to you, that you have gone through so much that suddenly these things is like lighting a light in your mind that they say, maybe I'm going to try this. And listen to that, listen to the intuition inside of yourself, and looking for really serious practice that you can find. There are plenty of people that are practicing in these days, no, that you can find and do that.
Is there anybody who should not drink ayahuasca?
I feel ayahuasca is not for everybody. Absolutely not. There are illness and conditions, physical conditions that don't allow every single person to be a candidate for medicine. But I feel everybody is a candidate for expanding their conscious. That's for sure. Ayahuasca can be like so strong and so deep for some of the conditions, like not being a good thing. But there are other psychedelics that is less, that it can actually be more supportive in a person's life. Yeah.
How is ayahuasca incorporated in the jungle, in the culture there with respect to mothers and children? I'm always curious about that. They use whether mothers who are pregnant or breastfeeding. How is it used?
I love that so much because in the jungle there is no separation. Medicine is medicine for everybody. So if a woman is pregnant, she can partake of small amounts of ayahuasca, so she can already inform the baby. The mother being part of a community that practice ayahuasca, she's already drinking ayahuasca since the child age. So when she's pregnant, she's going to continue intake of small amounts of medicine, so the child is familiar with that energy. And when the child is born, the mother is taking also ayahuasca, so the baby can also have the energy through the milk. And as soon as the child is so cute, because they like start walking and they see the adults doing this ceremony and rituals, and it's so fun, and it's like a celebration. And for the children, it's like playing grounds, right? And they see the adults intake of the medicine, they stand and go in a line themselves, and they will see like 3 years old, 4 years old in the line with like 100 years old people. They drink very little because they are already in a state of awe. They are already in a state of purity. They don't need much, but they wanted to be included into the ritual. And the adults were not going to separate the children from that. It feels like a very wholesome that everybody is part of the ritual. Everybody has a place in the ceremony. And then the mothers, yes, with the little babies, yes, with the ones that start walking, yes, with the 100 years old, absolutely yes. So everybody's part of the ceremony. Like everybody's part of the jungle, everybody's part of this community. There is no separating those that are younger or they are older from being part of it.
Yeah. And how often are these communities taking ayahuasca together? Is it like once a week?
Very frequently, very frequently. When there is a lot of visitors that come, there is reason to drink medicine with them to show them the culture. When there is no visitor, there is reason too, because we need to be informed by what is present for the community that is coming from beyond the physical realms. We wanted to be informed also doing ceremonies, be informed of the state of the changes that happen of winter and summer and things like that. We want to be informed about the state of the animals, what is available, what is should be harvested, what should not be harvested. So there are many reasons that we will be doing ceremonies for that.
It's like a form of just constant communication with the jungle.
Exactly, yeah.
So there are a lot of scary stories about ayahuasca. There's, that go around now on the internet, people that I think can sometimes scare people away from the medicine and the experience.
Yes.
And so What would you say to that? Like, is there anything one needs to fear about this process, or is it like what you were touching on earlier when you were in your diet, that first diet in the jungle, that all we have to really fear is within ourselves, within our own conditioning?
I feel that not everybody is well intentioned. Yes, not
Mm-hmm.
everybody in the jungle, even in the jungle. No, we are all human beings, and we have to consider that not all human beings, even though human beings are on the jungle, are connected to divine or to their heart. So we have to use the concern,
Mm-hmm.
like like the intuition that is inside
Mm-hmm.
of you, that you when I meet you, I
Mm-hmm.
know that I can trust you. Or
Mm-hmm.
when I meet someone and I know that I cannot trust that
Mm-hmm.
person. So using those ways to read and then knowing more, I always wanted to know what is the life of the person that is serving medicine. What is the action of that person? What is how the choice of that person? It's very important for me to know that, because it's not about just serving ayahuasca to someone, because there are many people that is going to be able to serve ayahuasca in this world. In the jungle is not different either. So I wanted to know the quality of this person, the quality of the intention of this person, and I can know that by watching longer, no,
Mm-hmm.
getting to know more of the practice of this person, and also I wanted to know how this person lived their life. With
Mm-hmm.
my teacher, it was like such a recognition at first, but I really had to watch him, how he was in his community. What was the choice that he was making for the people that live close to him, the people that work close to him, for his own family, his own children's, and who was this person? And that making me feel safer or less safer, depending on who I was watching.
Yes, the integrity of the person
Yeah.
who's serving the medicine. Are
Yes,
they
exactly.
walking the walk and
Exactly.
practicing what
Exactly.
they preach?
Exactly.
And so it sounds like the thing that people do need to watch out for is the
Yes.
integrity of the person
Yes,
that they're
yes.
sitting with.
And that is very serious, because we see in these days, we see a lot of abuse taking place,
Mm.
even from people in the jungle serving medicine. I don't want to say anything negative about the masculine, but there is a lot of masculine serving medicine that has abused their power in that place, of serving medicine, being shamans, and abusing of their power of the place there they sit. And why? Because the individual going to those people didn't took time enough to see the quality of the integrity of that person.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
About what percentage of curanderos are curanderas? Like how many? How many are like women? Is there much like women representation amongst healers?
Mhm. In the beginning, women were more involved in a way, because the woman is the one actually helping preparing medicine, collecting leaves and things like that.
Mm.
Then to do the diets is a little bit scary for women to go
Mm.
away from the village and
Mm.
isolate themselves. That is something that the men will do easier. So then the men
Mm.
became more predominant in that place of it became curandeiros, for obviously reason. The woman's feeling afraid to like be exposed to the darkness and being by themselves and all of that. So the men became more predominant. So most men are in that position than women. Now there is a revival. The women just say, wait a minute. This is being too much already, because some of the men are good, are in integrity, but there are some men that are not in integrity. So then there is a revival of a woman's taking back their place into being in that position.
Mm.
And for me personally, I do feel that it is time for more women to take their role, to serve medicine and to be in that place of being curandeiras, because we are the mothers, we are the ones that steward life in a way, and the men should be protecting life more than taking like a power, overpowering even, no, conquering and all of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. The role of the feminine taking more of a central role in
Yes.
healing practices,
Yes.
and the role of the masculine to protect that
Yes.
space. We were
Yes.
talking a little
Yes.
bit about
Yes.
that
Yes.
yesterday. Is there a way for people to work with you if they feel called to work with you, to drink ayahuasca with you? Can you share a little bit more about how someone may do that?
Yes, we just recently made a movie. It's available on YouTube. It's called Curandeira, and you can find the channel official Curandeira. You can find on YouTube, and you can start from that and see a little bit of what we do in the jungle. It's a short documentary just informing the process, the preparing medicine, how is the jungle, because a lot of people has no idea of the jungle and feel so scared. So it's a really good place to start. We do have a website that people can go to, and then they can look us up there too. Curandeira.
Those are we'll include those resources in the episode. Tati, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, for sharing about this beautiful medicine that, I mean, I tell everybody, if you're going to sit with anybody, you have to sit with Tachi. It's incredible. It has played such a huge role in my own healing journey. Really thankful for you and the light that you bring to this world, the medicine that you carry, and I'm just so honored to share this earth with you at this time. Really,
Thank
really
you so
grateful.
much. I'm equally grateful for you and how you have stepped up into be this person that you are, and also opening space for people to come and heal. That is everything we need the most upon this earth. And thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here and all that you do.
You're so welcome.
Yes.